Somebody asked me a question on my first video on what is gravity, and they were saying, why does a feather fall faster than a rock? And I thought about that, and of course, the scientific answer is density. The feather is not as dense as the rock. And then you would have to chalk that up to molecules and then measuring, the velocity of a falling object from a certain height, and then all this other scientific stuff, and you can come up with some type of reasonable answer that everybody can digest. But one is denser than the other, therefore one falls faster than the other. But the question is still, what is gravity? And I was thinking about the same concept. How come a penny falls? Okay, this is what I was looking at before I get to the penny. I was looking at when you drop something out of an airplane. Let's say that you dropped a suitcase full of rocks out of an airplane. That suitcase full of rocks is going to fall at a certain speed, right? Now, say you dropped the same size suitcase, but it was full of paper. That suitcase full of paper is not going to fall at the same speed, right? However, it's not going to fall at the same speed at the beginning. But what's going to happen is the suitcase full of rocks is going to fall faster up until a certain point to where nothing can fall any faster. I don't know what the speed of that is, but it's basically gravity pulling you down towards a planet at a certain speed that everything hits. Everything, unless it's something as dense or really light as a snowflake, and or less dense or really light as a snowflake or a feather or something. That feather, and the thing about that is that snowflake doesn't pick up speed as it's falling. It falls at the same speed from one point to the other. But if you throw a suitcase full of rocks out of an airplane, that suitcase full of rocks picks up speed, right? Up until it can't fall any faster. I think that's called maximum velocity or something like that, or whatever they call it. But it is maximum velocity. The point is, there is, depending on the size of the object and the density, there's no difference to gravity at a certain point. It's all reached maximum velocity. So if an elephant, not an elephant, but if something that weighed as much of an elephant, the same thing. If you dropped it out of a big old Huey helicopter, it's gonna fall faster than a box of rocks until it gets to a certain point. Then the elephant and the box of rocks are falling at the same. I don't want to use elephant. The whatever is as heavy as a Humvee, because the army does that. That Humvee is what, 2 ton? So that Humvee is going to fall at the same rate of speed as a a soldier would before the soldier pulls a chute. So let's do that, because those things, they really do throw out of helicopters and airplanes. They do throw Humvees and humans out of helicopters and airplanes. And they both, at first, do not fall at the same speed. One is going to fall faster until it reaches a certain speed, and then just people run around. Then it reaches what's called zero velocity, or I think it's zero velocity or maximum velocity. One of you scientists know what I'm saying, but I started thinking about that and going, why is that? And the reason why this is all coming to some type of fruition is because of the way I look at gravity. I don't think that the Earth is spinning at the speed that they say that it's spinning, because I don't think the Earth is spinning at all. I think the Earth is sitting still. I think the Earth is very still. And because I believe this, when you look at everything, I mean, just think if we had a news report that came out and said, you know what, the Earth is not spinning at all, and we could prove it. All these people that are going up into the space, what if they go up into space and then they really do find out that there is an ocean in the sky? That's why some of you people are saying the whole thing with Richard Branson going up in the sky, it's all fake. These people are not going into space. They're only going so far and then that's it. They're not going into real space. That's why some people don't believe that the moon landing is real and that we've ever been to Mars, and Hubble and all that is not way out there in the, past the Van Allen belts, because we can't get past the Van Allen belts. And even if we could, there's still a whole ocean to contend with that's above our heads. And that leads me to start questioning, what is gravity? Why is it that something falls when you drop it? Also, uh, you have to start looking at all of these UFOs that are showing up all of a sudden. I mean, these things are coming out of, it's just not going to surprise me to see a UFO. These UFOs are coming out of the woodworks now. And the military is finally admitting there's UFOs. The government finally can't hold it back anymore because too many people seen it. Too many people have videoed it. Nobody can deny that we are not alone. It's just, it's like, forget that. We know we're not alone. There are UFOs. So then they're talking about how the F-35, the F-22, the Sukhoi, and all these other super fast MiGs and all this cannot even hold a candle to whatever these UFOs are flying around in. You know, so they're talking about that, and I'll expound some more on this. Like, there's nobody listening right now, but if some of you are interested in some of this stuff, I'll just give you my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. That's not what my degree is. My degree is in healthcare, and I don't practice that, so I can't talk extensively on that. But nonetheless, just what is gravity? I started thinking, about the feather and the penny, and why does one fall faster than the other? And how is it that you can manipulate the one to fall as fast as the other? And I started thinking about the molecules and the bonding of each item, and then, getting into what is, the feather made out of. And you start getting into, the vitamins and minerals that it's made out of to make it what it is, and then the signature of those, products, of those materials. What if you had, what if you can, okay, so the signature, the frequency. A cell has a frequency. Every cell does. It vibrates at a certain frequency. And it creates a certain sound, if you will. And these frequencies are attached to each other. This is why when something hits a high pitch, certain things can break, because everything is moving constantly. I don't care what it is, it's always moving, right? So if you find the frequency of the molecule, and you can match that frequency, and or find a frequency to that's either more or less to make that frequency, those bondings come apart. You see it when a lady hits a high pitch and then glass falls apart. Well, that's what's happening. The molecules are losing their holding. When they lose their holding, it all falls apart. But when you start thinking about that, you're going, can you change the frequency of an item and give it another frequency, and or give it another signature? Which means, if you can't change gravity, you can change the item that's in gravity. So gravity does not know that it's there. So if I took the signature of a feather and coated the penny with the same signature of the feather, gravity would think that the penny is a feather, and the penny would fall at the same speed as the feather. Now, I know this is all stuff that's way above my head, But when you start looking at it logically like that, you go, okay, everything is a signature. How can you change the signature and or frequency? How can you change the frequency of an item? Of the molecule, of the bonding of the molecule, and that's highly possible. And this is why the F-15, the Sukhoi, and all of these other super fast, supersonic scramjets, none of these things can keep up with a spaceship. Not one, because it changes direction at any time. It does anything that it wants. Why? Because it's not beholden to gravity. Gravity has no law when it comes to these items, these spaceships. And this tells you one thing: gravity is not a law. It is not a law. Gravity is it is not something that always is and that cannot be manipulated. It is not a law. Okay? There are some places that there is no gravity, and they're on this planet. You can say, oh, gravity everywhere. No, that's not true. There are some places on this planet that has no gravity and or less gravity than other places. The gravitational pull is less. And I'm gonna go out and say, yeah, there's some places that have no gravity at all. You could throw something up in the air and it'll stay there. Now, if you can take, like I said, if you can reverse signature or trans signature, or transpose a signature, I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. Some of you scientists can do this. You can take one of these signatures and or transpose a signature from one item to another, then the penny can become a boulder. The penny can become as dense as a star, and it will not be able to, I mean, if whatever can hold it, it'll fall so hard and so fast, it'll create a huge dent in the ground, and you might have some type of explosive reaction simply because it's falling so fast and it's so hard, and it's the density of a star. So imagine that. Imagine a penny falling from, zero velocity, where it can't fall any faster, and then hitting the ground and or hitting the ocean and causing a mass tidal wave. You'd be like, that penny, it's impossible for that penny to. No, it's not impossible. It's quite possible for a penny to cause a tidal wave. Why? Because you can change the signature of the penny, which means you can make gravity think that that penny is heavier than what it is. You can also make gravity think that the penny is lighter than what it is. I believe this is all possible, and I believe it's actually all been happening. And there are some people on the planet who might already know about it, and there's some people who just don't care because, not very many people look at these subjects that I'm talking about. But there's a reason why I keep talking about this and it keeps coming to my mind. It's just not something that's I'm sitting around going, It just keeps popping up, and I'm thinking that there are more and more people who are talking about this because there are more and more supernatural events happening. There are more uh, uh, fourth dimensional things that are happening. We are three-dimensional beings, or so they want us to think, but the fourth dimension has been opening up for us. There have been beings walking in and out of my house, messing with me while I'm sleeping and waking me up, calling my name, tapping on my leg, and things like that. It's been happening to me for the longest time. And there are other people that these things are happening to as well. We are not three-dimensional beings. We are fourth-dimensional beings. The fourth dimension is time and space itself. Can humans travel through time and space? The answer is absolutely you can, but your spirit does it. Your flesh does not. Or your flesh does not at will. There would have to be some type of doorway in order for your flesh to pass through these places. And we've heard about, mad scientists and rulers in, finding ways to break into the fourth dimension. You lean on a wall in China and you end up in Israel, you know what I mean, in 1 second. These places exist. So can, we travel through the fourth dimension? Absolutely. But we can't do it without some type of door or, help from something else. But our spirit does it all the time, every time we go to sleep. All right, so that's just what I want to talk about. What is gravity and the signature of gravity. And I don't know what I'm going to get out of the topic, but it might start a conversation somewhere else, and then somewhere else, and somewhere else. And somebody who is a lot more smarter than me on the topic will go, you know what, Tone? Let's try what you're talking about. And they're going to know how to match signatures from one molecule bonding to another molecule bonding, and they're going to transpose that and put it on YouTube, and we're all going to go, see, I told you so. And next thing you know, there's going to be, floating people. Just people who can just jump a whole mile and a half and safely land, because we now know that we can manipulate the signature of gravity. All right? Take it easy. Bye.